we're back here at the GSL Code S. Now's where stuff gets dicey. One of these two players that we're about to see is going to be eliminated from this tournament.
Very shortly, Tasteless. Well, unless they're like 3 45-minute games, it's going to be a bit, but
it'll be in a little while.
Yeah. Still, one of these guys going home unhappy coming up here. Super against Sue. I think this is going to be pretty good. I like Sue's ZVP overall. He's good at mixing it up. Plays a pretty strong style. Super, for me, I've always been a fan of his Protoss Berserk. I think he's come up with a lot of cool builds in the past. He's shown some great skills in the matchup. I definitely like it better than his other two.
I feel like Sue should win 2-0.
Really?
I just look into the way Super played in our first best of 3.
I feel like it's going to probably be a 2-1.
Think so?
Yeah.
Going to Sue, though?
That's a little bit harder for me to say, because I have always liked MVP Super's PvZ. He has some cool stuff up his sleeve, so I'm not sure.
I don't know.
2-1, one way or the other.
All right, the map is going to be Polar Night. And again, the player that loses this series is out. The winner goes on to the final match to face off against Innovation.
You can tell I'm excited by the way my heart is beating. I'm gonna need a right foot to help control my breathing. Communicating with patients like I can hear it speaking.
In the bottom center, the only Protoss player in our group, he is
MVP Super.
And here in the north, our only Zerg here. He is
SK Telecom T1, Sue.
Okie dokie.
How you doing, Artosis?
I'm getting better and better, actually. The last 4 games we've had were pretty good. Those first 3 of the day I really did not care for.
Well, we had the pretty crappy best of 3 to start off, and then we had that interruption with a lag.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying as well.
And that was kind of... I think I lost a lot of my momentum for a little bit there.
It happens. It happens. The Starcraft games aren't always good.
No, they're not. I mean, it's like any other game at a sporting event. I mean, sometimes you go to a basketball game and you're like, well, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Tune into a UFC fight and it was just over immediately.
It's important to be able to look at a game and say, I didn't enjoy that particular game. It happens.
It does.
I've watched plenty of StarCraft games I haven't enjoyed, but many more that I have.
Well, we do have, right now, the Protoss getting 2 gases now.
Gateway Expand looks like coming down for him. Now for Sue, he's figuring that out right at this moment, that this is in fact a Gateway Expand. So we'll see if he throws down a quick gas, or maybe he wants the 3rd hatch. In just a moment, we'll see that.
So, Artosis.
Yes.
We got a little bit of downtime here as they both set their pieces up. So, think of a good question to ask you. Okay, do you like romantic comedies?
No.
Me neither. What's the worst one you've ever seen?
I don't know the name of it, but it was the worst. It was,
Sick Input, Artosis?
Yeah, it was bad.
I saw this one called My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Okay.
That one is by far...
Oh, I don't know about that. There was one where these 2 secret agents were vying for the same girl. One was like a British guy, and another guy was just an American guy. And
I have
it was
a sad feeling that the British guy...
And they were using their secret intelligence gathering.
The British guy was
ways.
using a secret better accent and just...
Yeah, and no, they were like using spy equipment to try to cheat each other out of the girl or something.
That's dumb. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
It was so awful. It was so awful, tasteless.
There's this old romance movie, and there's a famous line from it, and it's like old. I think it's from like the 70s or something like that. But like they go, it's okay. Loving someone means never having to say you're sorry. It's like the slogan of the thing.
That's
it's like,
awesome.
No. It's like no. Actually, if you love someone, you should be able to say that you're sorry. That's actually pretty important in any relationship to apologize.
Good to know.
The more you know.
Let's take a look at these builds real quick. It's the 3 base by Sue with very late gas.
3 gate by Sue.
No, 3 base.
3
by
base.
Sue.
I'm sorry. I think you said 3 gate. Sorry.
Super, on the other hand, going for 3 gates before the Stargate. Now, he does have the Mothership Core coming out, seeing what's going on here. Is that a probe that's walking across the map? Because if he puts on a 3-gate pressure against this, there's a good chance he can do a lot of damage. Now, we do have a Roach Warren coming up, but not a lot of Lings. If there was already a pylon up, I would say this hatchery was going to go down. But actually, that's a Zealot. So this is kind of interesting, because normally against someone who goes for the 3-hatch, the optimal play, especially if you go with the gateways before the Stargate, is to make the pylon, warp in a bunch of Zealots, and basically force them into making a bajillion Lings that they just don't really want to have to make.
Yeah, that they can't really use for, for the time being.
And as long as you don't lose all your Zealots, you're actually in a very good spot, because you'd rather have those Zealots as a PC army than this person that has all these Lings that are slow, that are not drones. But in this case, as far as the build orders go, I really like the position Sue is in a bit more than Super's. Not like this is an unwinnable situation for him or anything like that, but I like it more. He's basically successfully gotten 3 hatches up against a Gateway Expand that went for the 3 gates before the tech, off of making very few Zerglings. And that's nice.
Yes, it is, actually. So we got the Forge here with the Ling speed and everything else. Void Ray's now coming out.
Oh, okay. So a single Phoenix into Void Ray. Spore Crawler just now starting. See how many he ends up making. If he could force 2 at each base or something with this, that would be...
It looks like he's already doing that.
All right, 2 right there, 1 in the main so far. And 2 in the main. And all that off 1 Phoenix that's really good for Super. He has to be quite happy about this.
And it'd be hard for Sue to know right away, because it's not uncommon for you to send your first 2 or 3 Phoenixes in different directions to find all those Overlords.
It's so true.
Hydrogen now coming here.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty normal. And it is going to be, of course, Void Ray Colossus, it looks like, coming out here for Super, who is taking his 3rd base rather quickly. No, this is shaping up pretty even overall.
All right, now the Overseer picked off, but he did see that there was another Void Ray being made.
And as soon as that's killed, he actually starts air attack. So this tells us it is going to actually be Void Ray Colossus. Very strong composition.
Very, very strong. He's going to send that Observer out. Let's see if he gets a second Observer.
I don't think he will.
You don't think he'll try to chrono boost that one?
No.
Just because the robotics support bay is so close to being done.
That, and this is pretty tight on gas. He's getting ground upgrades, air upgrades, Colossus Tech, and Void Rays all at once. And he's going to want to probably buy a few more sentries as well. So that's kind of rough. But the Spire's on the way. So he could do something like a Ling Hydra, possibly some Roaches, and Corruptor type of push. But you have to be really careful if you want to make Corruptors against this build, because if they have enough Void Rays to kill off your Corruptors, it gets out of hand really, really fast, and it becomes a huge waste for Zerg after a little bit.
Hallucinating Phoenix is now going to scout around. And Protoss will basically just turtle for a little bit. There's no real need to do anything dramatic. If you lose this unit comp of Colossi and Void Rays, it's like in Terran vs. Terran, where if you lose let's say 13 siege tanks. I mean, you've spent the entire game incrementing out these siege tanks.
Very true on that. You cannot lose that beginning composition. Now, look at this. We do have 10 mutas on the way. He scouts a Spire, and if he was really quick on that, he could have seen that there's no upgrades from the Hydros Den and Roach Warren, and that's enough to tell you that it's mutas. So, will he start to prepare against mutas? We actually see another Colossus started. We don't see any more Phoenixes being started. This is going to be a real big issue for him to deal with correctly. Oh god, yeah, this is not looking good.
Double Expo here off of this.
Well,
really going for...
this is great play by Sue.
Well, this is looking about as solid as you can look for Zerg in a macro game with Muta Harass.
Well, it looks like he did figure out finally what exactly was going on, and he is starting to actually defend against it rather well. Throwing up some additional cannons, keeping his Void Rays and Stalkers in that main base. It's a little bit harder to defend. But more and more mutas on the way.
And, I mean, he's just going to turtle. like we already said, I mean, he's going to have to sit back. He doesn't let these mutas do any or too much more damage. That's really funny. He didn't know at first that was not real. We don't have drones up at the upper left base, but he's got an economy going over here down at the bottom right. And these are the real Phoenixes coming up here.
These Phoenixes are actually so important.
Yeah.
Like, if he loses these Phoenixes, the game is almost over.
So there'll be a little bit of juking and jiving here between the mutas and the Phoenixes. The Phoenixes are good, but they can be a little tricky to control.
You have to really babysit.
They kind of curb as they move and sway a little bit back and forth. So, as you can see here, the Zerg is going to try to run away and then just snap back and see if he can get a powerful hit off here. Because with this many mutas and the glaives bouncing, one good hit.
Yeah, you can start killing him rather quickly.
Yeah.
He actually needs that the range upgrade to finish up ASAP. And it's
actually going for the Forge here.
Ooh, nice little pick off there.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's about to have range finish for Phoenixes, so that's going to actually sway this way into his favor, where he actually can babysit and kill a lot of them off. Will we see Corruptors? Because sometimes Zerg will just be like, all right, I'm going to keep going Muta with Corruptor to zone out the Phoenixes.
He needs to get a lot more gas coming in here. He does have his gases taken here at the 5th, but for the time being, he would have to make the rest of this just Corruptors for it to be worthwhile, I think.
Well, he's coming in right now, but these Phoenixes do have range. Does lose one. A little bit sloppy right there.
Whoa, that's what I was talking about.
They slid right into that. Yep. That was actually quite painful. In fact, some of them are so low that the glaive bouncing might actually end up killing them.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
Ooh, and there one goes. So
how many mutas is that now?
We're up to quite a few. If I had a PC, I'd tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. We don't have our preview PC today. So it looks like the Protoss now going to attack over here into the bottom right.
Zealot Warpin does make him run away from that. In the meantime, Protoss is going to kill one of these bases up. He's going to let it go. He does have that other base and is expanding again behind everything.
And he actually might go and attack up here into the upper right.
Right now, the Phoenixes are holding these off. There are 23 mutas out right now. But the Phoenixes, he's microing them super, super heavily. He's going to have to turn around eventually and kill off these Colossi so these things actually can kill everything. But it looks like he's just going to keep going.
You know, Super might actually pull this off right now. If he could just deal with this army over here.
Well, you know, he just needs to keep these Phoenixes alive. The thing is, he's down to 3, so the Mutalisk ball is actually getting scarier and scarier right now. He's starting to pick off a lot of these Stalkers, more Stalkers being warped in, but the Mutas can kill those off very quickly.
All right, nice Phoenix control so far, but as Artosa said, yeah, there's just too many mutas out here. The actual damage output is insane.
And the Muta's going after this. This is turning into a full base trade.
Yep.
And how many... This really does come down so much to these Phoenixes. Like, he has 3, has another one on the way, but there's 19 mutas out still. He can eventually kill off all the mutas if he micros them just right. But the mutas overall, if he can get a high enough number, he can just kill the army off.
Now, this is getting pretty interesting, actually. It looks like he does not want to turn around with the mutas just yet here. I think he wants to get up here to where the production facilities are and try to wipe that out. But with all these cannons here to defend against the muta harass, it's inadvertently denied Zerg from performing an actual base trade, you know?
Well, 10 more mutas on the way. He might be able to kill off this army now, and if he does that, it's 2 base against kind of 3 base, even though that back base is not really fully operational yet.
It's available.
Yeah,
it's
he kind of the fact that he keeps making mutas means that Phoenixes have to continue to be made. He has to be careful not to undermake them. Well, here we go, Tasteless. The mutas are popping out at this point. He's going to have to engage eventually, but those Phoenixes are coming right up.
And now 23 mutas out here. A blink underneath the mutas. More mutas coming here as well. Cleaning up the rest of these stalkers on the down here. But that's it. Super actually with a brilliant tech there outmaneuvered Sue. Sue never really dealt with that army that was tearing through the right side of the map. I thought he was going to lose that base and then come back and defend.
You know what? That was actually really good play by Super, because I thought Sue was playing quite nicely the way that he went into the mutas against that, which can be quite a nice counter. But I thought that Super didn't realize that it was mutas, because after he scouted the Spire and the fact that nothing was upgrading the Hydralista and the Roach Warren, he actually started another Colossus, was getting thermal ants and stuff. I'm like, ooh, I feel like you should actually be putting all your money into anti-muta right now because it really looks like that's what's coming for you. But he actually had units in place right before they got there to stop that initial harassment. And then he just kind of stabilized for a couple of minutes, went into Phoenixes. He didn't overdo the Phoenixes. He got enough to make sure the mutas were going to be a bad choice. And that was just really, really good play by Super.
Well, let's see if Super can do it again. The next map will be Derelict Watcher.
Derelict Watcher, this map can be a little bit tough taking that third base, especially if you do like
especially taking the fourth base.
That's true as well.
I mean, Zerg is, of course, the first person to have to deal with the burden of taking the fourth, but if Protoss is on 3 base for a while and can't do much damage or get out or loses most of their army, getting the fourth base is nearly impossible.
Also, if you open Stargate and go into Colossus, it can be pretty tough against those Corruptor timings.
That's very true as well. All right, guys, let's get ready. We're Tastosis, and we're about to see who's going to get knocked out first here in Group C in the round of 16 here in the best show ever, the GS.